Hello and welcome back to Fire Emblem Engage. This is going to be episode 0 of our DLC playthrough. Now, by DLC playthrough, I mean most of the DLC playthrough. Some of it we've already done during the main campaign and we don't have the ability to do it again. But essentially, we're going to be playing through all the DLC maps, then we're going to be doing the Fell Xenologue, and we're going to do as much of it as we can. Now, why does it need an episode 0? Well, because there's some things that I have not been using throughout the game that we need to have a look at and potentially decide whether or not we're going to use it. We need to decide whether we want to do any party changes. Deciding now is by far the best time, because if we do want to do a party change, we can potentially go and do some skirmishes to level up. We can potentially do all sorts of things. We can potentially switch class for different characters. We can work out weaknesses. We can switch emblems around. That's what this episode is for. It's for all the stuff which is not actually playing the DLC. Episode 1, we're going to move directly into combat and we're going to play the DLC. So, let's start with something from the main game that we didn't actually see, which is there is a bad ending cutscene. So, you're going to be transported back in time, we're going to do the final fight, and then we're going to meet you back here for some fun. Right, so here we are in the final battle, and I have moved everybody, so we are going to prepare to get a bad ending. So to get the bad ending, as far as I know, all you have to do is fail the final mission. So, let's go back one turn, and then back one turn, and then back one turn, and we're going to do this until we run out of charges, and once we run out of charges, well, we will no longer have time travel as protection. Once we no longer have time travel as protection, what we're going to do is we're going to run the Divine Dragon into the middle of the enemy, and we're going to let the fight end. That's essentially it. That's my entire plan. So, go here, and we no longer have the ability to rewind time. But you know what we could do? I was going to say we could actually, yeah, you know what, let's run into Sombron. So you can run that far forward. So let's run here and wait. Then we're going to run up here. We're going to give you a goddess dance. And we're just going to charge directly into Sombron. No thought in our mind. I'm assuming we can reach. If we can't, this is going to be very anticlimactic. Also, if we kill him, that's going to be very funny. What's the worst weapon we have? It's probably easier to do it here, huh? The worst weapon we have. Probably the one that gives him the highest hit, so like, I don't know, Armor Slayer? Hit him. We'll skip the dialogue, and we hit him. He fails to hit us. Have we made the Divine Dragon too strong? Questions that we need to have answered. Let's see. Alright, 54% chance to hit. We definitely were hit. Okay, I think we're weak enough so we can die. It's a positive. Oh no, Pandreo!
Unforgivable!
Oh well, Pandreo's dead.
I see a bright light.
Well, that's unfortunate.
Divine Dragon, please protect everyone. Protect them. Because I can't anymore.
Okay, and we hit again, and we are dead. So, we have failed. 100%.
Is this really how it ends? I'm so sorry, everyone. No! I promised I would fight by your side until the very end! Don't die!
And now...
What happened?
Everyone you care about, they are all dead.
Oh.
Dear brother, it's time to go.
And with that, we have seen the end of the game. Well, after that cutscene where older Vale seemed to control us via a ring, and we had everybody we know die, it's time for fun. And we will have fun. So, what is first on our list? Well, when I was playing through the main campaign, I had certain restrictions that I put upon myself, because the DLC items we were getting were really, really strong, and DLC emblems we were getting were strong, so I was like, you know what? We're not going to use any of these. We're going to complete the game without using any of the DLC stuff. And now we have some. So I think it's time to remind ourselves what exactly we have that we were not using. So, I was actually looking to get to our convoy, but we can get to it from here. So, first and foremost, what weren't we using? We were not using all of these. So, we have a bunch of buffs which need to go on people. These, I think, will probably come after we do everything else, but we have all of these buffs, which are essentially just the stat boost items that we got, I think, with the first DLC wave. So, we have all of those. The second thing that we have are emblem rings. So, we should have 2 emblem rings that we just have done nothing with. Vander, you know what? You can show them off for just now. The first one that we have is Tiki. So, what does Tiki do? Is this the best place to look at this as well? This'll do. Right. So, first thing with Tiki is we get Eternal Claw. So we get a claw attack, which does 28. So that would have 28 physical, so that's 13 minus 28, so that's a 15 damage thing. Tail Smash, which is a lot more, that's 27 base. Okay, but it's a smash attack. That makes sense. And then we have Fire, which is another physical attack. Not very high, but strikes foes in an area at half defense. So it has very low attack, but it ignores a lot of defense. That's kind of cool. It says Air and Fire cannot follow up or strike first of initiating combat. Okay, so it's kind of like a smash attack that's an AoE. So this one seems to be like Roy's attack, I think it is. Okay, cool. Next, Star Sphere. Grants unit enhanced stat growth when leveling up. Oh, so if you put it on something, that thing is going to level up quicker. That's definitely, or not quicker, but better, which is quicker. It's kind of a weird thing, right? Where the actual level the character is matters very little. The basic stats are what matters, and this raises your basic stats. Giving that to someone like Jean would be interesting if you wanted to incredibly power level. You're getting enhanced stat growth on enhanced stat growth. But maybe not. Next one, Draconic Form. Unit transforms into and fights as a dragon when engaged. Grants plus 10 to max health, plus 5 to build, and all basic stats. Okay, so these will be your attacks when you're engaged. That seems fine. And then, use to grant one ally a revival stone. Okay, so you can use this to say when you would die, you're not gonna die. That's a pretty good starting lineup. So, a range of attacks, which are all fairly useful. We have an ability which gives just passive usefulness, right? Even if we did nothing else with this character, equipping that to somebody is going to make them level up better, which seems good. Draconic Form, that's a very powerful mode by the looks of it. It's kind of switch into the and go crazy. Then Divine Blessing, that could be quite useful. If you have the ability to make sure someone won't die, I'm assuming this has no like timer for it to run off. You could do some very interesting things. Like you could put that on somebody weak and have it be an ability to just keep them alive. You could have it on your tank and just make them insane. There's a lot of different options. You could also put it on somebody who's trying to avo dodge, somebody like Zelkov, Andreo, Alcrest, and have them be able to fail dodges and still, you know, survive. And that's pretty cool. Now, this isn't all she does. She also, we also have more attacks. Okay. So we have an Ice Breath attack, which appears to just be for flavor, because these are the same. And then we have Flame Breath, which strikes at 70% damage and half defense. Sets out, so this one doesn't set the area on fire, this one freezes foes. Ah, it's the status effect that's different. This one does less damage. I'm not entirely sure what the benefit of that one is, I'll be honest. What's the difference between fire? So this one strikes foes at half defense. This one strikes foes at 70% damage and half defense. Not sure. Maybe this one only hits the first target like Roy's and then sets fire, and this one actually hits everybody with fire? Not sure. Okay, this one. I would assume, yeah, this is the magic attack. So it's a magic equivalent. Effective against dragon and creates fog. That's kind of cool. Yeah, I like that. Then we get just stat increases. Okay. So I'm assuming these are the stats. So actually, no, she gives HP, defense, and luck. Oh no, so this will be the stats that she increases. Okay. Geosphere. At the start of the player phase, if there are allies adjacent to the unit, grants defense/res +3 to unit and those allies for 1 turn. So, at the start of your turn, if you are next to a unit, that unit's going to have increased defense and res on your turn. Now, does that last till the enemy's turn? I'm not sure, but that means it's incredibly useful if you put that on somebody who's like standing in groups. Okay. Special Guard. If foe is equipped with a special attack, unit takes 1 less damage during combat. Now, that special symbol is the same one that was on all of her weapons. So if you look at the bottom right, that level symbol. So I'm assuming that means if she's equipped with her dragon attack, she takes less damage. So effectively, if she's engaged, she takes 1 less damage. Unless when she's engaged, she can also use the other weapons, but I assume she can. Skill Inheritance. Okay. Wonder if you can inherit Geosphere. That could be good. That could be very good. Or HP and Luck. Life Sphere. If a unit uses weight without attacking or using items, restores HP and heal status effects. That's kind of cool. Yeah, it's nice to have, but not necessarily amazing. This one here. Unit takes 2 less damage during combat. Again, that's the special attack. If unit initiates combat, half's chance of receiving a critical hit from foe. So it seems like there's a lot of kind of potentially a tank, potentially... Well, no, like, yeah, just tank, I think, would be the right one. So you would have your tank run in. They'd be the person who's mostly being hit, but they'd provide a buff to anyone who goes in with them. So this is going to be like on your main tank. This provides buff to other people because your main tank doesn't need it. You have Life Sphere, which allows you to just run forward, stand there, and do nothing. And heal up. You have Light Sphere, which means that if you do attack somebody, they're not going to crit you, which is going to be one of the main ways of actually dealing heavy damage. You get more HP and more luck. Better Special Guard. Better Life Sphere. Better Geosphere. If they're a unit... Yeah, I think that's the same. Yep. Okay. You get better Special Guard. You get 10 HP and luck. Remember that when you go into a Draconic form, you also get another 10 HP. Life Sphere then heals 40. Insane amounts of healing. You get Special Guard, which reduces damage by 5, and then Deep Synergy. So you can see why we didn't use this during the main game, because this is absolutely insanely good. But we might want to use it now. Okay, now the next thing that we want to do with Tiki is we just want to go through people and just see what buffs we get. So, if you grant the Revival Stone, you also give them 20 HP. I don't really think that's that good. I mean, it's nice, but like, it's not insane. What does this do? Key Adept heals their status effects when you grant them a Revival Stone. Again, interesting. Ooh, Draconic form type bonus. Negates terrain damage. Okay. That's kind of cool. When you're in Draconic form, obviously. Veil gets a dragon bonus. Mystical grants an additional +5 res. And I think we've gone through all of them, haven't we? Yeah, we've gone through all of them. That was back up there that we were seeing. If we have anything else? Nope. Think that might be it. Yeah, there's no covert stuff. Okay. Well, that's cool. So now we know what she does. Who are the people who are most likely going to be a Tiki user? Well, the ones that I'm thinking of are potentially... I think Louis could use Tiki really well. I think that fits very well into our strategy with Louis. He would lose holdout, but he would gain vantage. Potentially there's something we can do there. I think that him being able to run forward and give other people buffs makes him very useful. I think a lot of the time we just have him stand there and heal, at which point that works really well. So I think that works. Mauvier, potentially, although I think if we took Ike away from Mauvier, we're getting into bad territory for us there. Vale? I mean, no, but if we want to change Vale, potentially that's something we could do. We could use that. Don't think it would be a Hortensia one, although she doesn't have anything else, but we don't really have her standing next to people. Not for you. Not for you. Although, again, if we want to change you, there's potential. If we want to make her even tankier, get rid of all of that, like all of the Sigurd stuff, instead make her a tank and then give somebody else the Sigurd buff, like maybe Gold Mary, but then we have Leaf, and Leaf needs to go to somebody else. And you see, this is why we need an episode 0, because if we don't have an episode 0, I'm going to do all this in episode 1, and it's just going to be entirely menuing. Jean. Jean's an interesting one, actually. I think Jean has high potential to be a Tiki user. Now, hear me out. Currently, what we have Jean equipped with, sorry, let's go back to what we have Jean equipped with. We have Jean equipped with this one, recovers 5 HP per turn. What Tiki would do instead is we would lose the 5 HP per turn, but once we get a little bit of stuff going, Life Sphere would then restore HP. So, it allows Jean to effectively restore HP. It also allows Jean to give buffs to people he's standing next to. Like, you know, if he's chain guarding. Or if he can't chain guard because he's lost HP, this then allows him to give a buff of some kind. If he initiates combat, half the chance of receiving a critical hit. That's kind of okay. Occasionally initiates combat. I think this could be Jean. Yeah. I think this is pretty much, like, perfect. It gives him HP and luck, which is fine. Yeah, I think this is a Jean, like, play here. And then this will heal their status effects, which gives them a way to do that. I think Jean and Tiki just make so much sense together, at least right now, that that's a change.
I'll do my best.
Like, that's a 1-for-1 attachment there. Now, if we decide to mix everything up, potentially it's not going to be as good, but that just seems obvious. Let's go back to our Vander here, and let's have a look at the other emblem ring. Well, I'm calling these emblem rings. These are actually, I believe, bracelets, these two. But they do exactly the same as the ring, so I don't know. Right. So this ring is a little bit different, because this ring actually has multiple different things that it does. We go into bond effects, you can see there are multiple different things that this ring does. And in fact, I believe that you can actually switch between things. Oh, you don't get to choose. At the start of the player phase, the emblem will randomly switch to Edelgard, Dimitri, or Claude. So, right off the bat, there's a little bit of crazy in here. And each of these guys are going to come with a weapon. You got this one, and then they get their own ability. So if we look at Edelgard, use when synced with Edelgard to attack a foe, then set the target foe's space and nearby spaces on fire. Okay, that's kinda cool. Enables use of Edelgard, Dimitri, or Claude's combat art. Spend some remaining engaged turns. Oh, okay, so this is replicating in a weird way some of what you can do in Three Houses, where I think it's you can use, and I should know this because I played 400 hours of that game, but I believe this is where you could use some durability of your weapon to do a combat art. Instead, what you can do here is you can use some of your engage to use a combat art. Okay, and then what's Houses Unite? I'm assuming that's like some high damage move. Attack with Emir, Arab Bar, and Fail Not at 50% damage, and then the bonus is you're going to do damage if you're on the right type, effectively. Okay, let's see what everyone else does. So Shield Gambit. Use when synced with Dimitri to negate damage from first attacks of ranged foes targeting unit in the next enemy phase. Huh. Okay. So you run them forward, you say, I'm not going to get hit, and then you don't. Okay. Immediately this is getting things spinning in my mind. Use when synced with Claude to attack a foe, then poison target and all foes adjacent to it after combat. That's kind of cool. Poison obviously not as insane in this game, but it's cool. And what's Assembly Gambit? Use to attack an adjacent foe, then move one space away after combat. Target foe moves to the unit's previous space. So I think this must be a gambit that any of them have, but that's kind of a neat thing. You run forward, you grab somebody, and you pull them in closer. So, combat arts, which I'm assuming are these things. Houses Unite, there's the damage. There's her weapon, which is Emir. And she gives, so this gives strength, dex, and defense. Okay, so very useful stats. Lineage grants a 1.2 times experience modifier to unit. Alright, that is to represent, I believe, was it Nobles got an experience modifier in 3 houses? I want to say, I'm not sure, I'm trying to remember. They got some bonus that this lines up with, and I've completely forgotten. I think it might have been, if not Nobles, the house leaders or something. It's been a while. Okay, Bowguard. If foe is equipped with a bow, unit takes 1 less damage during combat. So immediately I'm thinking flyers, right? So you get Dimitri saying negate damage, first damage from attack of ranged foes. You got this one saying take less damage from a bow. To me that seems like a flyer type thing. Unless you want to just give it to somebody who's that you're just gonna have as a generic tank and you just don't want them being hit with bows, right? More strength dex, or like, if not tank, like somebody who's gonna be at the front being hit by these type of things. There is your weapon, you get a level 10. So this is Dimitri's Lance. Okay, grants user, if user initiates combat, grants might plus 50%. Okay. So that's pretty good. It's going to do a lot of damage on the offense. There's Strong Bond. Weapon Sync. If unit initiates combat, using the same weapon type as the synced emblem grants attack 5. If engaged, it grants plus 5 regardless of weapon type. So, heavy damage, strength dex, bow proficiency. Okay. Then you get Fail Not. If user initiates combat, grants Avo plus 20 and effective against dragon and flying. You get better strength and dex. Gives attack 7 if the unit initiates combat. Bowguard, then we got strength and dex, then we get more Bowguard, so you take 5 less damage, and then deep synergy. So you're getting a ton of strength and dex at the end of this, right? Like, even though you don't actually get these from it, these represent what you will get in your basic stats generally, although I believe that this one actually doesn't for some reason. I forget what it actually gives you at the end, but anyway. That's why I'm counting it here. I think this one gives you more because it gives you 2 strength at the start or something. Anyway, I don't know. Anyway, essentially, you're going to get a lot. Now, the other thing to remember also with this one is that the strength dex, in theory, we should then take everybody who currently has a dex bonus thing, like, say, Allcrest. We should take him. We should ditch his current dex, like, bond effect, and we should instead give him the strength dex one, because then he gets plus 5 strength and he keeps his current dex, which is much, much better. Like, that's so much better, in fact. And anyone who has strength, we should do the same, right? We should switch over. So this seems really good. Yeah, okay. Now, let's see what it does on different people before I decide. What does it do here? So, if you're a dragon, you do 10% more damage. That's it, just straight up 10% more damage. If you're a covert, you get better Avo, And you do more damage with the bow. Again, makes a lot of sense. If you were a key adept, breaks the foe when you use Houses Unite. Armored, you get more damage with the axe. Backup gets no benefit. There's the dragon bonus again. Flying gets no benefit. Huh. What does Calf get? Damage with the lance, of course. Okay. So, I don't think the bonuses are incredible. I would think what we should do here is we should give Gold Mary this. Now that does mean that Gold Mary is not using this guy. It gives her Arm Shield, Adaptable, and Vantage. I don't think she tended to use these very much. I think that she would be much better with what Edelgard's giving, because she's going to get a bunch of strength bonuses. So I think that's an obvious 1-for-1 switch, right? This would give us, instead of getting like defense, build, and HP, we'd lose a little bit of that and would become a much better damage dealer. Okay, and she could potentially use weapons of different types, and maybe that works in, although she can't use the... Yeah, she can only use sword and spear currently. We could switch her Wyvern Knight over to spear and axe, maybe? And that might work for her, potentially. That's something to think about. Yeah, okay. So that's option number 1. So option number 1, and I've got a pen and paper so I can write this down so I don't forget, is Gold Murray switches to Edelgard. Okay? So, if we do that, we then have Leaf, right? So, who would benefit from Leaf? I don't know. I don't know who would benefit from Leaf. It would be somebody who has multiple weapons. So maybe someone like Marin would benefit. So let's say we gave Marin Leaf. Well, then we need to move on. It again goes to the next step. So we give Marin Leaf. Well, then we have Erica. And who gets Erica? Oh, I don't know. Hortensia is getting someone at this point, right? So, I mean that Hortensia ends up with something. So, like, in theory, we would go something like Marin gets Leaf, and then Hortensia gets Erica. Now, that leaves Hortensia on Erica, and that doesn't really work, and Marin works really well with Erica. So I don't think that this is our path forward. So, I'm saying that that won't work. So is there anybody else that Leaf could go to afterwards? Well, Kigetsu, maybe, right? He doesn't have multiple weapon types, but he does have different weapons, which could be useful, so Adaptable isn't completely useless. The ability to have Vantage on Kigetsu would be really nice, because then you not only have the ability to attack twice first, you have the ability to defend twice first, which seems like that could be pretty good. Some of the stats would change, but you'd end up with more HP, which would be okay. Well, then you get the same question. If, say, Kigetsu ended up with Leaf, well then who would end up with Lyn? Well, Lyn, I don't know. Like, Hortensia? I keep coming back to this. I don't think that's gonna work, right? I don't think that that's a good switch. Seedol, and then move Micaiah? I don't think that's a good switch either, right? There's kind of looking at this going, do you give it to Allcrest? Well, I don't think that's going to work, because we currently need the dex, right? We always need the dex on Allcrest, so that doesn't feel like that's the right answer, although Allcrest was feeling a little bit weak with Lucina at the end. Maybe there's a better use for Lucina, so maybe Allcrest could get Leaf? Oh, not Leaf, it could get Lyn. I've just realized that I was only writing the first letter and realized that I've run into a major issue, given that Leaf and Lyn have the same one. Okay, so if Allcrest got Lyn, who could then get this one? Who could end up with Lucina? What does Lucina give? Unit participates in chain attacks as if it were a backup unit. Now that, for Hortensia, does not sound that bad. and you can chain attack from further away. Grants a bonus to Avo that increases with the unit support level with adjacent units, so you could have Hortensia in the middle of a group with high Avo potentially. Used to prevent first attack on adjacent allies until your next turn. And then all for one, used to make a sword attack against adjacent foe, all allies within 2 spaces chain attack. I think that's the weakest part of that, but there's potential. Who else could this be good on? I'm trying to see, has anyone else got a ring that isn't good? I mean, could it be good on us instead of Marth? Well, the problem with that is, what does Marth give? Marth gives high Avo. If you break a foe, you make extra attacks. So you have to have somebody who can break. Unyielding heals. You cover perform an extra attack at 50% in combat. And this does 7 sword attacks. So that doesn't feel like that's a good replacement. Okay. Zelkov Karn. I'm not breaking it up at this point. Unless we move Karn onto Veil. So we could move Karn onto Veil. So we could go Allcrest Lyn. Okay. And then you would go Zelkov would then get Lucina. Then you would go, well, it would be Celica would then go to Hortensia. And then that would get you everybody with a ring. Okay. And it would allow Hortensia to have a ring which is useful for her. Now, remembering we could potentially get more bracelets later, so we might actually end up with more rings than we can use. And the DLC ones might end up just being strictly better, which would be interesting. I don't know. So do we like the Kagetsu? So Kagetsu would then get... So Kagetsu would get Leaf. Also, I realized that using my... like, using the first letter was horrible, because we got Lyn, we got Leaf, and we got Lucina. So, it would be Kagetsu gets Lucina. Okay, sorry. Goldberry gets Edelgard. Kagetsu gets Leaf. Allcrest gets Lyn. Zelkov gets Lucina. Not Zelkov. Veil gets... oh, I missed a step. Yeah, I need Veil gets Corrin. And then Hortensia gets Celica. Okay. So it would be all swap on that case. That's not terrible. Is there a way to make that line better? Well, Leaf could go to Zelkov, at which point you don't need to move Lyn, in theory. So you could say Leaf skips to Zelkov, then you don't have to move Lyn. You could have Leaf skip everybody, and you could just go Leaf to Veil, right? So you could go Leaf to Veil, which would then mean that, and then Celica to, yeah, then be Celica to Hortensia. That's not terrible. Now, Veil would lose Celica's bonuses, but what does she get here, right? She currently gets, from this, she gets a little extra damage with her tome. Wait, does Celica give strength? That's so weird. Anyway, so you would lose out on some of your magic, so lose out on 5 magic. Also lose out on Holy Stance, Resonance for a little extra damage. So you're basically going to do less damage with your magic in general. But if we were to switch on to Leaf, you would get Adaptable. So you get extra hit during combat, and you would switch to best weapon available when attacked. You get quadruple hit, and then you'd start to get build and HP. Potentially something very good could come out of that. You get defense. Makes Veil a much more tanky character. Her current stuff would actually work very well for that. Draconic Hex would work very nicely. HP. Now, in theory, we should switch everybody who has HP onto Tiki's HP if we're going to keep going with the same path. because then they're going to end up with HP and luck, which would be kind of neat. I think there's something to this. So I'm going to move Leaf to Veil.
Leaf! To battle!
Okay. I'm then going to move Celica to Hortensia. There we go. Which just seems like that would make sense as well. And flying gives you increased warp distance, which is kind of nice. Echo would be really good, because Echo with L Thunder. That seems like that would work. Okay. So let's switch you over.
Yes.
Okay, and then Goldmary will get Edelgard.
Edelgard, indeed.
Okay, perfect. So, and that's going to push her strength up a lot once we start getting some levels in here. Okay, I think I'm happy with that. I think I'm happy for right this second. Now, obviously, our bond level is low. Just across the board, our bond level is low. But there's not really a lot we can do about that, right? Now, if we get more bracelets, who are they going to go to? I have no idea. I don't know what they do. But I think that that is a good way of changing things without changing too much in one go, which is kind of my objective. So, we've looked at that. We've got everybody set up. What is next on our list? Well, we have a lot of money. I don't know if I'm going to do the inventory management here or later, but essentially, we're going to have to buy everything up. It is worth pointing out, I'll just jump to the pool to make this quicker. It is worth pointing out that this shop over here has restocked. And because we have a ton of money, logic would kind of say that they expect you to spend a lot of your money on silver ingots. Now, the fact that you can only buy one at a time is very funny. How many can you buy? You can buy 10 per 50,000, so you can buy 30. So you can upgrade some of the better weaponry here, definitely. Are these new? Wait, yeah, these are new. Wait, I just realized these have changed their name. Wait a second, they have, right? Because I used to buy the white flowers 100% of the time. These are definitely different. Huh. Yeah, wait a second, these are completely different, right? So I used to buy the white flowers that were good for cooking. Huh. So this doesn't just restock, it changed. I wonder why. Maybe these are better? Like, these are specifically better for leveling up supports? Huh, I don't know. Anyway, so there's that. I've already done the other stuff that we would need to do in terms of training, because this is technically before the final mission, although it's also post-game, which is a little weird. So, we might actually be done, because I think we've already done training as well. So all that's left is inventory management. That might be the end of our episode 0. Now, just some general things about the post-game. First things first, bond fragments do not, well, you don't basically get a large chunk of bond fragments. That's what I'm trying to say. You have 2,477, which is what we had at the end of the game. And the way that you get them is you go fishing, you do the flying, and you do missions. Right? That's essentially how you get bond fragments. And that's about it. Oh, and do the dog stuff. Pet your dog. Beyond that, not really a lot of ways of getting bond fragments. Now, maybe because we're in post-game, they buff the amount of bond fragments that you get, but that's a little optimistic, isn't it? So, that's something to think about. Money-wise, however, we have a ton. And we do have a way of actually getting both of those things. So if I go to the world map here, we should see, once it loads in, we should see that now we have skirmishes. And they will spawn constantly, as they do on all the other difficulty modes. So essentially, this is what other difficulty modes are like in terms of what you can do moment to moment. There are a ton of skirmishes, which give us a ton of things. So it's probably worth having a look at some of those at some point. I also just noticed these are different types of skirmishes. What have we got? So silver corrupted, gold corrupted. Ah, so that's what those symbols mean. See, I don't even know what these symbols mean, because we haven't had that many skirmishes. Okay, that's interesting. Also, the Divine Paralogs have, in theory, can get skirmishes there, looking at the bottom left. That's interesting. Okay, that's something to remember. Yeah, so we can do skirmishes to level up. The other thing we could potentially do as well, and we might want to do at some point, is we could potentially start cycling in other party members, right? Like if I took a party member to a skirmish and tried to level them up, we could potentially end up with a party of some leveled up characters, right? And we have some that aren't that far away. Now, right now the stats are bad, but if we use Tiki, who gives increased XP and increased stat growths, you can get a character who's been out for a while leveled up fairly quickly. So we may or may not want to do that. Currently, we still have a bunch of supports between our characters. Like if we look at Allcrest, right? I bet he's still Allcrest has been here a while. If we look at Vale, right? We still have a bunch of people she hasn't got max support with. So it might be worth doing that. It might also be worth getting some extra people in here. I'm not entirely sure how we would do that, because in theory we'd have to level some people. Like we'd have to take in people to basically tank and level for other people. So like we'd have to take in Louis, he'll stand there, tank, and then we'd have like Saphir shoot over the top to level up until such a point as we could level her so we could then do skirmishes with her. I'm not sure what my plan is. I would like to see a lot more supports, I'm just not sure how we're going to achieve that. One thing we could also do potentially is we could potentially, after doing all of the DLC, skirmish level in order to get all the supports. I'm not sure if I want to do that yet, but it's something to think about. I also just forgot there was one other thing I wanted to do in the Somniel, which does mean we have to do a reload into the Somniel, because this is not a menu, this is actually us moving to the world map. It actually takes away the Somniel to do that, which is a little odd. So we have to do this loan screen. I forgot, I wanted to check whether Goldmurray could switch her class to a better Wyvern Knight. Because if she can, potentially that's pretty good for us. Potentially. Let's see. I probably already have second seals, right? Or it wouldn't be second seals, it'd be master seals. Yeah, I probably already have a bunch. Let's change her class. Yeah, I have 9 master seals. Okay. So, have we got any other Wyvern Knights that seem good for her? Wolf Knights. So there's Sword Flyers. These are the base classes. Wyvern Knight. There you go. So, we could switch her to Lance Axe, at which point she's actually getting benefits from being an axe user. Is there an axe first? No. Yeah, she just isn't that good with axes, unfortunately. Yeah, there's not like an axe only. The reason why I was looking at whether there was an axe one is because I was thinking about Vander having this weapon. I was like, is there a way to get her into a better level? But no, you have to have an S rank in axe, which is difficult to get to. I don't know. We could look at other classes for people, potentially, if we wanted to. But I think that the easiest one right now is to switch her into a Lance and Axe class, because then she can use the bonus that she gets from using axes. Yes, this seems good. So we're switching her from one class to the same class, just a different weapon. Let's do that. This might be the class she started on, I just realized. I think did she not start as Wyvern? Oh no, I forget what she started as. No, Rosado started as Wyvern Knight. Did she start as a... She started on foot, actually. I can't remember. Anyway, that's fine. So that's a good improvement. Next one. I was wondering whether we want to... Oh no, because then I was thinking Panette could switch to get the axe, but then she's currently in a cavalry class. Oh no, let's have a look. Oh, I did need second seals. Master seal... Yeah, I guess I need second seals to switch over. Now I'm like, what's the difference between a second seal and a master seal? I maybe just got them mixed up. So her one would be Berserker. So she'd end up with a ton more strength, but look how many stats she loses by going berserker. Like, her stats would just crash into the ground. Is there anything else that has an S rank axe? No, she's actually not got the thing that boosts axe up by 1. Has anyone got that? Vale? You're currently in your dragon class. Yeah. I could probably switch her into something. You're currently in a backup class. What about if we were to switch you to this class? To this S rank class? He might already have it. You see. Yeah, berserker. He would also lose a ton of stats. Now, some of the stats he's losing, like some of them are magic, but his defense stat would drop by a ton. Yeah, it's probably not good enough to use a single weapon. Like, it's not a reason to do it. Like, switching class is not worthwhile because all we're getting is a weapon out of it. No, eventually I'll get words out of my mouth. I don't think we have anyone here who's axe focused. Nobody here gets like a huge axe bonus, unfortunately. Wonder who is axe focused. Probably like down. You probably have to go down to like Boucheron, maybe. Boucheron's not axe focused. I think it might just be Vander. Like, Vander might be the only person who gets a bonus to axe level. Huh. Interesting. Anyway, that's fine. Maybe I missed somebody. But I think this is a good point to end the episode. We're kind of where we need to be to start doing some DLC stuff. After I do some inventory management and upgrading of weapons. After the first DLC thing, I think we'll be in a better position to know what we're doing going forward. I think we've got 6 Divine Paralogs, which are the DLC missions. And then we've got we'll have some Somniel in between. What I might also do is we might try and do like a Divine Paralog and then Somniel episode where we also do maybe a skirmish, maybe like a low-level skirmish with some people or something like that, like some people who've been out the party. I don't know. I'll think about it. But with that, I'm going to end the episode there. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you next time. Goodbye.
Rise from a